LinkedIn leads are some of the most expensive in B2B marketing, but are they actually worth the cost? Let's break it down in today's episode of Closing Time. Thanks for tuning into Closing Time, the show for go-to-market leaders. I'm Val Riley, head of marketing for Unbounce at Insightly. Today, I'm joined by Philip Ilic. He is a B2B growth expert who specializes in LinkedIn strategy and helping customers drive real pipeline, not just leads. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Thanks so much, Val. Really excited to get going today. So yeah, thank you for having me.
So let's dig in. This is a topic that's on the mind of marketers all the time, CPL in general, but specifically for LinkedIn. So let's start with the big question. LinkedIn leads are expensive. When marketers say that they're too costly, what should they actually be comparing it to?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is a few different things we can talk about here, but CPL on a kind of metric compared to like a CPL on Meta, it is more expensive. But when you look at revenue generated or pipeline generated, the return on ad spend is actually very, very good. So we can target much higher value people. Second part to this is actually on other platforms like Meta, you can't actually reach these people. So if you can reach the exact same people, get the exact same quality, which you pretty much can't. If you notice on Meta, you might have 10 bad leads to one good. So you've got to really understand whether or not the quality of the leads are good and compare apples for apples. So like, is it the exact ICP from the right size company or not? And if it's not, then you can't really compare that to one that is from LinkedIn. So is it expensive? I think the best way to look at it is how much revenue is it creating? So we need to look all the way down pipeline, all the way to revenue, and the cost per demo and whether or not that demo will sat or not, and all these kind of other metrics which are down funnel. And then we can judge whether or not it's expensive or not.
That's a really great way to frame it, because I know sometimes it's hard when you see that, this one lead cost us $700-800 or $1,200. But it really is quality over quantity, even though sometimes that first number can sting a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And when that lead comes in and then they don't sit the demo, it's even bigger a sting. So it's really important to have a really good follow up as well. So a lot of times I work with a bunch of clients all the time, and the one thing they do often fail at is the follow up. So they like getting the lead is just the first step. The second part is actually making sure they sit the demo and making sure that follow up happens. And because the leads are more expensive in terms of getting them, it's really important that we, take care of every single lead that comes in.
The whole funnel has to be absolutely fine tuned when you are spending that much per lead. So let me just take it in a different direction. One alternative to a traditional LinkedIn lead gen ad is like using LinkedIn for content distribution. So getting your message in front of the right audience without immediately asking for a demo. How do you feel about a content distribution strategy on LinkedIn as maybe a lower cost option?
Honestly, I see LinkedIn more as a content distribution platform than a lead gen platform. In fact, I think everyone should, because just going straight for the lead, going straight for a demo, for example, it does start your cost to start escalating. If you don't do all this middle of funnel content distribution, demand gen side, and you're just doing demand capture, you'll get a spike in leads and flatline. So you have to do this kind of middle thing. I call it 180-day retargeting demand gen play, and that's mostly content distribution. So we're mostly using thought leader ads, and you can have a video, single image, or just literally text. And thought leader is one of the best ways to deliver the information your ICP needs. So we have a whole content strategy around that. But basically, if you imagine influence pipeline is a metric most people don't even look at when they run LinkedIn ads, and the two most important metrics are directly attributable leads. So that's the demand capture side, and then influence pipeline. So when you look at influence pipeline, which is through this content delivery motion, you'll see that the leads that came in from Google branded brand or direct or unknown actually had X amount of impressions, engagements, and clicks. So LinkedIn actually did all this heavy lifting before that lead came in direct from, to the website. So this content distribution play is extremely important.
I wish influenced pipeline had better PR because it is such a black box, and it's so difficult to get non-marketers to really understand the impact of it, but it is huge. You sort of stole my next question. It was about thought leader ads. In case folks haven't experienced what a thought leader ad is, can you just kind of describe the process and how come you feel it's more cost effective than traditional LinkedIn ads?
Yeah, for sure. So traditionally, about a couple of years ago, we didn't have thought lead ads. We only had posts from a company page. So that's the logo plus a kind of a post that looks very corporate. Most people did it quite badly, and honestly, it's quite hard to do it well, and because it is from a company page. So thought leader ads are basically from your personal profile. And so, for example, someone who's posting organically regularly, you can turn some of those posts into a thought leader ad, which is basically just a boosted personal post. The reason why they do so well is people like to buy from people. That familiar face goes a long way. And generally, LinkedIn just has better distribution of this. So the engagement rate's way higher. The click-through rates are higher. The clicks to landing page are higher. The landing page CPC, which is a metric you have to really dig in to find, is actually lower. So all of these metrics just are way better. And it's one of the best ways to distribute your message in that influence pipeline kind of metric we're looking at. The best way to communicate what you do, how you do it, your social proof. In my opinion, I would pretty much nearly always go 80% of thought leader ads, maybe some doc ads, some single image, but very heavy on thought leader ads, especially in the middle of funnel.
So let's dig a little deeper there. If you see a post that's performing well, might that be a candidate for a thought leader ad, or do you typically come to the table knowing we're going to do this as a thought leader ad from the beginning with an organic post? Like, is there a cart before the horse, or is it mixed?
Honestly, if you already are running an organic strategy, that's great because you can test the post in the wild before you put any money behind it. I would say one of the metrics to look at is how well it did organically, but it's not the only one. And some people just think, oh, that one did really well, so it must be that's the one we should do. But if I post something about me and my cat or my dog or something, that's going to do really well. But is it that useful? Probably not as useful. So I think we need to also consider that some more bottom of funnel information, maybe some specific social proof might be really great to communicate, but it might not do great organically. But so we need to come up with a content strategy. Like, what does your ICP need to know about you and your product, which is the social proof, the specific features, the specific benefits. We need to come up with a content strategy. And the difference between organic and paid is that I think with paid, we can be more strategic. We say these are the 5 or 7 posts we're going to boost this month. And this is the reason we have like an objective for each. Some are to send clicks to your landing page because you can add a link. Others are literally, we just want people to consume the content. So they're 0 click and they're designed in different ways. Whereas the organic stuff is more posting regularly. It's quite a lot of hard work. You got to post 3 to 4 times a week from numerous team members. And it's kind of a bit of a grind. Where with the LinkedIn thought lead ads is more like, let's just design like 5 really good ones or 7. And then each month we're swapping like a couple out.
Let's talk a little bit more about the relationship between organic and paid, because it feels like you can sort of create a bit of a flywheel there where one is helping the other and maybe get some economies of scale. How do you think about the relationship between organic and paid on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I see this all the time where people start not only getting their entire team to post, at least like 3, 5, 6 people if you can. And it's great because from an organic perspective, whenever your ICP logs in, they're going to see someone from the team posting, probably maybe numerous different people. So an organic strategy is great. How the flywheel works is we can choose the posts that do really well into ads, but also people who are engaging with your ads end up getting organic content as well. So it just kind of flywheels really, really nicely. I believe an organic with a paid LinkedIn ad strategy just makes complete sense. It really does, especially that thought leader ad link.
Boy, if you have a magic potion for getting more people in your company to post on LinkedIn, I would take 10 vials of that, please. It does feel like it's just difficult for us to convince our leaders that this is an important strategy for our company and really can really save us a lot of money in the long run. But but boy, is that a challenge.
It's
Any
such a
tips there?
challenge. Yeah. Any tips? I don't know if I've got any tips outside the box. I mean, the main tips are creating, like, turning it into a game and a competition, having prizes. I've seen that work for some people. Otherwise, it's literally every time now we internally onboard someone new, I'm making it part of the job description. So it's literally part of the job. Yeah, it's like you have to do this. It's not like
Okay.
please do. So that's kind of become. So you got to. I think as leaders in your company, we need to prioritize it ourselves, and we need to communicate to everyone else how important this is. So I don't think there's any like trick, honestly. It's definitely a grind to make people understand how important it is, but it's also worth
Okay, I'm making a mental note of that job description thing. I'm just gonna call HR later and say this is a new thing we're implementing. Let's talk a little bit about outbound and how you can incorporate LinkedIn into your outbound strategy. What advice do you have there?
Again, LinkedIn is what like the hub. It's a great platform, but we also should probably do this organic side, which we already spoke about. And the kind of third part of the puzzle is outbound. Outbound's a really great demand capture play, and LinkedIn's creating all these signals. So people are engaging with your posts, people are going to your website, people are like signing up for stuff, content and demos. So outbound automation using Clay, or now you can use Claude and all this other stuff happening. But you can basically use all these new tools to basically do really personalized outbound to capture the demand in a better way. So for example, signal-based outbound and warm outbound. So from a warm outbound perspective, LinkedIn ads, if you go into the companies tab or use a bunch of different tools I won't go into now, can show you the highly engaged or very highly engaged and highly engaged companies. And those probably you should probably go outbound to, and you can link LinkedIn ads, which is the marketing side, with sales, and sales basically just passing sales warmed up companies. And one way we do this is we actually do list-based targeting. And this is, I would say, for LinkedIn, one of the best targeting types anyway. You probably should be doing list-based targeting. And the goal with that is actually to saturate that list with as much content as possible. So again, thought lead ads are probably a really great way to do this. But you're looking at frequency. So people are receiving enough of the one content plus numerous bits of content. So you want them to get 5-6 different bits of content at enough times, and then they start knowing who you are, what you do, all this different stuff, your social proof. And at that point, if outbound goes out to them when they're warmed up, the reply rates, everything is just much better. So that's warm bound. And then there's signals based outbound, which works with LinkedIn really, really well. Again, so anyone who's commenting, engaging, probably should get a little outbound message, something very friendly, no sales pitch, nothing like that, but just a connection request. For example, it's kind of a way to potentially see if people are in market. So if I post about LinkedIn ads, which I regularly do, and I see a VP of marketing liking my post, that they might be in market, they might not, but that gives me a signal that they might be thinking about LinkedIn ads because suddenly they're liking my post. So I would definitely go out, bounce them, just ask them friendly questions. How are you doing? How are your LinkedIn ads going? See if it reaches out into conversation. So this is the signals we can look at, website visits and a bunch of others. So there's warm bound and signal based outbound, which works super well with both LinkedIn ads and the organic strategy.
I think your approach there is super important. I love the term pitch slap, where you simply like somebody's post or you find something insightful that they have added to a conversation, and the next thing you know, they're in your in-mail, pitching you and asking for a demo. Like that really just feels like they've skipped a few steps.
Absolutely, yes. So definitely don't recommend pitch slapping. That's one thing you shouldn't do. So often what I do is just give either start a friendly conversation or I just offer something actually genuinely useful for free. And so often I have like a really good playbook, which is a Loom-based playbook, and that's a GIF in the chat. So it looks really cool because it's me like talking. And I've had nothing but positive replies on that. Very, very maybe never, but I'm sure there's been at least one person who's been angry, but nearly never. I'd say most people are actually really grateful and happy to receive something like that.
Yeah, I think a Loom is a really great approach because they're hearing your voice, they're seeing your face. So it's like they're on a call with you. So you're definitely establishing some rapport there, but they can consume it or not, or move forward or not, and it feels very low pressure. So that's a great tip for folks to take away from this
Yeah.
episode.
And I think if the bridge makes sense, so if they're liking a post about LinkedIn ads, then I'm asking them, giving them more support around what they liked, which is related, then it makes sense. There's a bridge. If it's completely out of the blue and random, then it's like, where's this coming from? So yeah, I think the bridge needs to be there.
All right, Philip, that's all the time we have. This has been an incredibly helpful episode. Thank you for giving us really actionable tips today.
No worries. Really, thank you so much for having me.
Where can people find you if they want to follow you or learn more about your strategies with LinkedIn?
You can find I'm posting and addicted to LinkedIn, so I'm there every single day. So Philip Ilic, Philip, and then surname's Ilic. Find me on LinkedIn. Otherwise, yeah, just reach out to me there. I think that's the best place.
Fantastic. Thank you, Philip. And thanks to all of you for joining us on this episode. Remember, you can get this episode and every episode of Closing Time delivered right to your inbox. Just click the link in the show notes, and we will see you next time.